Brexit Britain to the world.
It is Balls Radio for Monday, the 21st of August, 2017. And have you noticed there's a race on now to see who can come up with the most ludicrous way of stopping Islamic terrorism? They're all entirely ineffective. They're not going to work, and they're all just a bit gaga. And it all revolves around working backwards. So we had the atrocity in Spain, which obviously was awful, and it was caused by someone driving a van into a crowd. So let's make it harder to hire vans. Let's forget about trying to solve the root cause of this problem. Let's just look at what's being used as the weapon of choice, and we'll just make it difficult. So we will make it harder for you to hire vans. That's something that the British government is now seriously considering. So the terrorists can look and say, look, there's another Western freedom removed. Meanwhile, it's hard to hire vans. And the terrorists, if they need a van or a lorry, they just pull the driver out of the cab, slit his throat, and drive that one instead, which is what they did in Nice. So it saves nothing, solves nothing. In fact, potentially will threaten more lives. Obviously, some of these crazy ideas have come from President Trump. Shooting suspected terrorists with guns dripped in blood. Where can we start on that one? I mean, this is just wrong on so many levels. First of all, do we shoot suspected terrorists? Do we just round them up? You just look a bit dodgy, and also you're Muslim. So we're going to shoot you in pig's blood, with a bullet in pig's blood. They haven't done anything yet. And those that have done something, well, they either blow themselves up. So what do they care? Clearly they, are not treasuring their lives particularly, or they get shot by the police. So if they're getting shot by the police, do the police dip all their bullets in pig's blood just in case they happen to shoot a terrorist today? That's a lot of pig's blood and a lot of extra police time for that tedious daily routine of pig blood dipping, bullet by bullet. Imagine how long that's going to take. But, why stop with bullets? Why not warheads? Look, if we're bombing ISIS, why not bomb them with warheads also dipped in pig's blood? This is the General Pershing method, as advocated by President Trump, actually been shown now, of course, to be a complete myth. But, if the president wants to go down that road, why not splatter suspected terror cells with pig's blood? You don't have to damage anything, just splatter it with blood. A whole new approach for the U.S. Army. Admittedly, we're going to need a lot of pig's blood for this to work. We're going to have to start breeding more pigs just to support the military. I guess one of the side benefits of that is going to be there's going to be a lot of bacon that will be a side product that will flood the market, sold off cheaply, which sounds good, but just think of the increased cholesterol levels in the West, killing us all off early. So once again, the terrorists have won. But even before we take it to that extreme, the leader of the free world, peddling a myth about pig's blood, saying that this is the answer. The terrorist response to that has to be, look, we are winning, aren't we? This guy is a lunatic. They have absolutely no idea how to stop us. That must be what they're thinking. You would think they are laughing at us. Well, we're all laughing at President Trump, but they must be laughing at all of us because we don't know how to stop them, and we keep on coming up with these lame ideas. Here's another one. Also from President Trump, stopping migrants from predominantly Muslim countries, except, of course, Saudi Arabia, that he and we sell arms to. Obviously, the ancestral home of bin Laden, the birthplace of all the 9/11 pilots. This crazy idea is that if we stop Muslim migrants, we'll stop terrorism. Except, of course, for those already in the country. And if any of those are susceptible to the influence of jihadist teaching, surely they're going to think, with a ban on Muslims coming into the country, they're going to feel a little bit disenfranchised, aren't they? Won't they see it as a sign that the battle lines have been drawn, this is all-out war, and they're just going to hop onto the side of the jihadists? And, of course, this is what bin Laden wanted. First of all, he wanted to create all this tension and division within the West, and also stopping Muslims moving to the West is helping the jihadi ideal of an Islamic state for all Muslims, the caliphate, which is what bin Laden was all about. Once again, the message to the terrorists is, you're winning, just keep doing what you're doing. Tired of the crazy ideas yet? Because here's one more. John Rhys Evans. He's running for the UKIP leadership as part of their new leader, new brand, new future. That's their new slogan. New leader, new brand, new future. In other words, ignore anything that went before. We're a brand new party. It's the equivalent of a dodgy restaurant sticking under new management on the front door, isn't it? John Rhys Evans hopes to be the new leader of UKIP. His brilliant idea over the weekend is that dual nationals are offered £9,000 to leave the UK. Now, admittedly, this is not to stop, necessarily jihadism. It's just to stop what he sees as the rampant population growth in Britain, which is 0.7% per year. But this UKIP leadership hopeful, who I think, he makes Paul Nuttall look a bit like Einstein, really. He's suggesting cutting the foreign aid budget almost completely and dual nationals to go back where they came from, with £9,000 in their pocket in the hope that they'd use that money to set up a business overseas and settle themselves up overseas rather than setting up a business here and adding to our national accounts and paying tax and possibly employing people. His plan is that we spend money shipping them off overseas, and that somehow, I haven't quite figured out how, is going to reduce the cost of living of UK residents. Okay, not specifically to do with fighting jihadism, but here's another twist on this from UKIP of years gone by.
We must control immigration. We cannot sustain the numbers coming here. And those that come here must learn to speak English so they can integrate fully. Multiculturalism does not work. Britishness does.
Yeah, Victoria Ailing, who was once something in UKIP. Maybe she still is. Who knows? Who cares? But that was her answer. Be more British. If jihadis migrate to this country, we can just remove that motivation to fight for the caliphate by being more British through a diet of fish and chips, National Trust membership, and a sworn alliance to Marks and Spencer's, rather than to the caliphate. Rather than watching jihadi training videos, we should indoctrinate them with British videos, sort of videos of old steam trains and reruns of Faulty Towers. And we just get them to spend their weekends not driving vans through crowds of innocent people, instead sitting in a parked car on the seafront, eating an egg sandwich with a flask of tea, listening to the Archers on the car radio. That'll stop them. Only then, when they've been taught the merits of this blissful existence, will they ignore the crazed teaching of jihadi leaders and see the error of their ways. Victoria Ailing is so right on this. So how will we stop this fundamentalist movement? Obviously, other than what Victoria Ailing has just been describing. It's been brewing since bin Laden was a boy. First through Al-Qaeda, now ISIS, soon Al-Qaeda and ISIS competing against each other to see who can piss off the West more than the other one. So it's just going to get worse. So far, our best ideas are send them home, dip bullets in pig's blood, make it more difficult to hire vans, and be more British. Ever get the feeling that we are losing this battle against terrorism? I don't know what the answer is, but I do like the Indian myth about bodies in the river. There's a well-known myth in India about bodies in the river. Villagers notice a body floating by, so they take it out of the river and bury it. Then more bodies float by, and the villagers take them out and bury all those bodies. And soon, there's so many bodies floating down the river, the village can't keep up. They run to the village elder to ask him how to fish all the bodies out, and the elder tells them to stop fishing out the bodies and instead tells them to walk upstream. To find out why the bodies are falling in the river in the first place. He tells them unless they can stop it, they won't solve the problem. And aren't we sort of in the same boat, basically? The Indian villagers, find out why people are dying and ending up in the river, and they stop the whole mess. Right now, our answer to terrorism is simply to fish bodies out of the river rather than looking upstream at the root cause. Making it more difficult to hire vans sounds a lot like fishing one of those bodies out of the stream, doesn't it?
Balls Radio of the UK. From a Brexit Britain to the world.